Is being recorded. At this time, I'd like to turn the conference over to Kevin Hoffman, Alula's Content Marketing Manager. Please go ahead, sir.
Hello and welcome to Alula's webinar. Today we will be talking about the cellular sunset. Don't leave your customers in the dark. On the agenda, we're going to cover a number of topics. We're going to first talk about introductions. We'll define what the cellular sunset is. We'll talk about why they happen. Importantly, we'll look at when to expect them to happen. But then we're going to talk about how we can use this as a business opportunity. And finally, we're going to share some exciting news about Alula's new ConnectUp Sunset Upgrade Program, which will save you money. Let's meet our presenter. Russell Vail is the Executive Vice President of Market Development and the founder of IP Datatel, one of the two companies that formed Alula. He has 4 decades of experience in security. He's a serial entrepreneur who founded 10 companies. He's the founder of the first IP-based security system network. He served on several Security Industry Association boards and is Alula's leading expert on sunsets. Welcome to the webinar, Russell.
Thanks, Kevin, for that warm introduction. That's fantastic. First, I'd kind of like to just say a little bit about, Alula. I think that's the most important thing we can kind of break the ice with and really talk about this fresh alternative security professional system that we have built for the security industry. It's resulting from a merger from 2017, a merger between IP Datatel and Resolution Products. And we've had 12 years of trusted and reliable security hardware and platform innovation over the years. We're innovators of the first wireless alarm panel and the first IP-based alarm communications network. And what a lot of folks out in the security industry that would recognize both IP Datatel and Resolution and now have become Alula would be from our hubs and sensors, some of our translators, our mobile experience, our first IP network, and then our IoT type platforms. I like to think about this as kind of a neat architecture. It's the network, equipment, applications, and transport.
That's perfect, and that leads us right into the topic of this webinar, which is the cellular sunset. Russell, can you give us a kind of a high-level view of what exactly the cellular sunset is for those few in the audience that may not have heard of it?
Sure. I've been a veteran now of several sunsets. I think this will be my third or fourth. A sunset occurs when the mobile carrier repurposes existing cellular frequencies for newer technologies. For example, these companies, these carriers, pay millions, hundreds of millions of dollars for these frequencies. They're not throwing them away. Sometimes I hear people say, well, there's this, network shutdown. Well, the networks are not getting shut down. The technologies are getting shut down. So when a sunset happens and a single path security device on those networks, they cease to function. And you'll hear me talk a lot about this between a singular path and a dual path type of technology. And also, sunsets create a major expense for the security professionals who have to roll trucks to update equipment before each one of these shuts down. So not only is it an inconvenience, but it's a very costly inconvenience.
And speaking of inconvenience, well, let's talk about who's imposing that inconvenience, because I think there's a lot of misunderstandings out there that perhaps it's the security companies that are creating these sunsets, but in fact it's really the cell providers, Verizon, AT&T, and other network carriers, correct?
That is absolutely correct. They're the cause of all the angst within the industry. So the sunsets are controlled by Verizon, AT&T, and others in the network. It's not Alula, and it's certainly not the alarm dealers. They're the least to want this type of technology change. For example, if you just look at what it takes to roll a truck and to replace this equipment, it's quite extensive. They're also harvesting bandwidth for the future. So in the case of this next sunset with CDMA and the 2G, 3G, and 3.5G sunsets, they're phasing out these old technologies so they could regroom this network for additional spectrum to make the network faster and more efficient for LTE and 5G networks, which are coming of age. And why would you say that there's this need for this? LTE and 5G is much faster. More devices can share the available spectrum, and the cellular users demand it. You've got to think about the cellular handset carriers. As alarm industry professionals, I get asked this question a lot. Well, why can't we just tell the cellular carriers just to keep those old frequencies? Well, it's kind of hard to do that when we're paying them dollars, and everybody else is paying them hundreds of dollars. If you think about your own household, how many phone handsets there are within your own family, and that account, that drives this thirst for more spectrum and more bandwidth to make this network so much faster. So the handset carriers are more likely to cause the sunsets than our technology, because we don't need that much bandwidth in which to operate. So these sunsets are going to be more on the horizon. They're just going to occur. If that's your only form of technology for your security system, then you might want to rethink how you're setting up your systems today.
And we'll get to it in a minute in terms of what we can all do to help solve the problem and keep our communicators up and running. But first, let's look at the timeline. What do we know? There's been a lot of conflicting messages out there from the carriers. What do we know about when this will happen and when we got to prepare for it?
Yeah, so the million-dollar question is, when will they occur? Well, Verizon will sunset their CDMA network around December 2022, and these are estimates because just in other sunsets, sometimes these dates slip, sometimes they get extended, sometimes the networks in some areas go dark early, and that creates a major havoc within the security industry. AT&T has announced their 3G network will sunset in February of 2022. Again, that's an estimate. They could go earlier, they could go much later. But just for the statement that they've made, that should tell you that we need to move from these particular technologies to the latest technology as soon as possible. And the reason being is, I kind of alluded to it earlier, is that in a metropolitan area, sometimes they groom these networks early. So they may take down where they had 10 towers before, they may take down 4 of the towers using the technology that they had before and regroom the others to kind of cover that same space. Well, like everything else, if it's on the fringe, it sometimes will pop off. So sometimes you will see an entire neighborhood go dark on one of these grooming exercises because they just happen to be on the edge of that particular network. So there's a big catch to this when we talk about these dates. They could occur earlier, so we have to be very diligent about getting these systems upgraded in a timely manner.
That's right. And we've actually already started to hear about certain neighborhoods where this is happening, where security professionals are getting calls from their customers about asking why their security system suddenly isn't working, and it's exactly what you were talking about. That it's not a hard stop for everybody at the same time. That you really don't know when your neighborhood is going to be groomed, so to speak.
Yeah, even before the sunset, this occurs, as I said before, because they may groom this network a little early, change the purpose of it. Some 3G areas have gone dark, and I want to clarify something. When we talk about these sunsets, we're talking about CDMA, we're talking about 3G, 3.5G in this case, and when we talk about 3.5G, we also commonly call that FAUX, F-A-U-X-G, because 3.5G was sold to a lot of people as 4G. And so during the LTE change-up, a lot of people were thinking, hey, I have 4G technology, so I'm a part of the LTE. Well, unless they say 4G LTE, it may actually be 3.5G type technology, which is caught in the sunset. And I know that will upset a lot of the security dealers because they believe their manufacturer would not steer them wrong. But every once in a while you get this where someone has sold 3.5G as a 4G technology when it was not, or as a LTE type technology. And in this sunset, which is much greater than the last sunset, there's over 5 million devices that will need to be upgraded. And if you think about that, that's 5,000 every day before the sunset ends. And that's a huge task for this industry to take on. And later in this slide presentation, we'll teach our dealers how to not get in this crazy loop and what to do to kind of break out of that.
Yeah, there's no doubt this sunset does impose a tremendous burden on our industry, but at the same time there's an opportunity there. Why don't you talk about how we can use the sunset to grow our business?
Yeah, so this is a great way to think about your upgrades. When you're looking at your account base that you do have to upgrade, this would be a great time early on in the sunset period to send out flyers and to notify your customers that there's things that you can upgrade on your system that would be really nice to have. For example, there's doorbell cameras. There's statements made that 1 out of every 4 households will get a brand new doorbell camera this year. So these are the things that we can, as an industry, get ahead of and start selling video. We can start selling smart home automation. We can start selling touchpads early and actually have this opportunity in which to have your customer base actually upgrade or pay for the upgrade of their system. So while installing a video doorbell, take the opportunity to upgrade their radio, and the cost will be hidden underneath the cost of the video doorbell. For example, you wouldn't roll 2 trucks to do a video doorbell install for that same residence and then also roll a truck to change out the 3G or 3.5G radio. You would do it all in one fell swoop. So this gives a great opportunity in which to upsell your customer base of the newer technology. It also refreshes the look. I mean, think about how many touchpads are out there for the oldest systems that may be yellowing or look really dated. This is an opportunity in which you can put in a brand new touchpad and upgrade that particular system and really bring it into the 21st century. So I think that's a great opportunity right now. With every cloud, there is a silver lining. This is one of those. You're not going to get 100% of your customer base, but if you can get a significant amount of them, it will help offset this terrible cost that you're going through to do this upgrade. And we'll talk about other items that Alula specifically is going to help our dealer base and to soften this blow.
That's right. You mentioned, being able to talk to customers about this. I think one of the points is that, I don't want to stay home from work and wait an hour for you to come out if you're just going to be giving me the same capabilities and telling me that you're replacing the radio so it doesn't stop working. But if you come out and tell me that you're going to be adding video on my phone, that's certainly something that it's worth me make an appointment to see. So video is really huge. It's no modern security system can be without it. Talk a little bit about some of the video services that we can add to legacy panels.
Yeah, so this is really exciting for us. When we look at our neat architecture, we talk about this network, equipment, applications, and transport. We're an end-to-end company, so we control the capabilities from each piece of our ecosystem all the way through end to end. It's kind of your one throat to choke. But one of the big pluses that we're able to do is you can take some of the oldest security systems out there, change out the communicator, and then add video to that old system. And you will have security and video show up in a singular app. So there again is that neat architecture, showing its prowess with how we can build this. So you can have one application which would show your security system, so you can arm and disarm it remotely. And then you can also add this feature of a video doorbell or indoor camera or outdoor camera, which we think is a great opportunity to upsell your client base and to give them a fresh look and keep that system fresh. The last thing we want to do as an industry is not, upgrade our customers and then allow someone else to do that for us. We certainly want to keep our customer base tight, and we want to keep them with us for the long haul. And this is how to do it. We can take this ability of adding the cameras and being able to add that, touchpad or other items to give that fresh look for that security system.
And this is an opportunity to upgrade the security system, but we don't want to have to do the same thing in 2 years. We don't want a Band-Aid. We want to get off this crazy ride. How can we avoid having this problem in the future where every 2 or 3 years we're out here replacing radios?
Yeah, I refer to this lovingly as kind of the crazy loop of the security industry. And when I look at it, it's just amazing to me that we keep putting ourselves in the same position over and over again. Rather than have these sunset headaches, appear each and every decade, and the average sunset lasts about a 10-year period. But we don't add all devices on year one or year end. So we really are looking at a sweet spot of around 5 years. So to think about, as an industry, we're swapping out technology about every 5 years. If you said that to a handset provider, they'd say you're insane. We do that every 2.5 years. But for the security industry, we think that we could put a piece of gear out there and it'll last forever. Does not necessarily last forever, with the exception of IP, which is Internet communications. So as a company, Alula has made it its mission in life is to be an IP-centric company. So we're going to push Internet as our first basis of all transmissions. Cellular only comes into play as a backup for us as a company. So we always suggest using this dual path IP first communications. Then you're not subject to the whims of the cellular provider, and the great news is Internet will never sunset. So that's a fantastic thought process when you're looking at your communicators, because now we can flip the script, so to say, for your customer base when they call you or you call them and say, I'm sorry, we've got a technology change and we've lost 1 year path of communications. Does my system still work? Yes. Can I interact with it? Yes. Does my alarm still get monitored? Yes. Well, then what do I need to have any upgrade taken care of? I'll go ahead and just stick with the IP. Or they can have that option in which to upgrade to get the dual path again. And the other thing that we've done as a company is we've also introduced the very first CAT M1 cellular path, which is a migration path for the 4G LTE to 5G. It is the 5G IoT band for the next sunsetting period. So it will last as furthest as we can see in the horizon today with this capability of doing the CAT M1. It's farther than just a plain LTE unit. It is farther than anything else we've got. The CAT M1 is the latest of all the technologies that are available today. So let's start looking at the focus of selling upgrades rather than trying to go out and trying to repair our business in this particular crazy loop. So the next sunset that occurs to you, you won't have to rush out. Think about it if you lost a neighborhood that you had a huge concentration in. Say it was 1,000 homes in a certain neighborhood, and you lost that neighborhood today, and they all called you the next day and said, I have to have my system replaced. The chances of you getting to all 1,000 are nil. It's almost impossible. But if you told them, look, you're still being monitored, you still have a single path, we'll put you on the schedule and we'll get to you as soon as we can. That's a whole better conversation than the crazy loop as a single path communicator would put us on. So really try to think about this IP first and then cellular as a secondary. You're going to gain a lot of speed with that. There's nothing faster than the internet for transmitting these alarm signals or interactive. The home automation experience is so much better. You're already using IP cameras today, most likely, and IP is the transmission of choice for your IP cameras. So why don't you think IP first? It's called the Internet of Things, not the cellular of things. So let's think about the latest technologies when you're upgrading your system.
Yeah, and they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And if that's not a good description of the crazy loop, I don't know what is. So let's talk about how we can get out of it. BAT-LTE, this is one of our products that will get you out of that loop once and for all. Tell me a little bit about this product.
So our BAT-LTE is a dual path communicator. It is IP first. It is Ethernet based with an LTE cellular unit. And if you have the IP connected, of course, when the sunset occurs, the next one, you will still have a communications unit. And you have the ability, of course, to upgrade to video within this particular model of product. And we have special sunset pricing that you can ask your distributor right now today to help with our dealers for this sunset. And again, I will talk a little bit more about some of their offers that we're going to give today to help our dealers get through this sunset crazy loop.
That's right. We recognize there's a volume of customers that are going to need these new radios. That's why we've got the Twin Pack, as well as a really exciting program that we're going to talk about in a minute. But first, let's talk about BAT Connect. This is the new product that we've just rolled out, and it really stops these sunsets once and for all.
So our BAT Connect is the ultimate sunset buster, and to me, this is a breakthrough product. It won at ISC West, and it won at ESX as a new communicator. It is a triple path communicator. It's IP first with cellular, and the cellular card on this is the Cat M1, which is that 5G spectrum for the IoT band for the 5G radios. It also has Wi-Fi. So that means that the chances of you losing communications on this would be slim to none because of the triple path that you could connect a system to. It's great and it's perfect for upgrades of accounts because you could take the oldest legacy control panel that you have out and connect this system and then have the capability of adding touchpads and video to the system and home automation. So it's going to have the most expansive upgrade option for any other product that's out on the market today. I don't know of any other product that's available that will take those yellowing keypads off the wall and give you fresh new touchpads. And the greatest thing about this particular product and the breakthrough again, and I'll go back to this neat technology of being able to be the network, the equipment, the applications, and the transport together, is that you have a unified experience. So the experience that you would connect this to, say, a Honeywell control panel or a DSC control panel or an Interlogix GE control panel, the experience is exactly the same with the applications as well as the touchpad on the wall if you choose to upgrade. You don't have to add the touchpad, you don't have to add the cameras, you don't have to add the home automation, but it's all there available for you to add and one easy install. So to us, we look at this product as definitely a breakthrough product. It's great for brand new installs, it's great for takeovers, and it's great for upgrading during these sunset times. And with this idea and the applications that are there, just makes it so much faster when you're working through IP than you're working through cellular. You know, a lot of customers talk about their experience with Alula. There's no faster network that I'm aware of. Our round trip times around 38 milliseconds within our network. It's extremely easy to use. The home automation functions of being able to control a light, it is blinding fast compared to all other networks. And I challenge anybody to put that up against any other product and take a look at it. And again, it is the very first communicator to use that Cat M1 technology, so it's in that 5G path. So it's the longest technology out there in the horizon for all these different sunsets. So it's definitely the ultimate sunset buster.
Yeah, you can really, this is a set it and forget it type device. You're not going to have to think about sunsets for the foreseeable future if you upgrade. And your customers will see a big difference with that touchpad, with the doorbell, with the video surveillance, and Internet of Things capabilities. They're really going to think it was worth having you out there. It's a whole new modern security system. All made possible by the BAT Connect. And this is a new product. It's just coming out this summer, and yet it's still eligible for this new ConnectUp program we're launching. So, Russell, this is really exciting. Tell me a little bit about this ConnectUp program.
So in our ConnectUp Sunset program, we're giving our dealers an instant rebate. We know this is extremely painful for our dealers and our partners in this, and it's very expensive for them to go out and roll trucks. So we're going to try to help as much as humanly possible. We're giving special pricing on equipment as these sunsets get closer. We're also giving the ability for our partners to earn up to $50 in rebate for each one of these communicators that they install. And all you have to do is go to alula.net/sunset, sign up to be in the ConnectUp program, and we'll get you all the information you need to start getting your rebates for each one of these units that you put on. And this is sunset specific, so our expectation is that you're replacing an older 3G radio, or even be a 2G radio or CDMA, but you're upgrading this system with the latest technology, and then we're going to help you with this instant rebate, which is, I think, the very generous rebate for our partners within our security network here.
And we mentioned that the BAT-LTE, that you should contact your distributor because there's a twin pack promo we've got out there. Is that stackable with this? Can you get that promo and up to a $50 rebate?
Absolutely. So you can get our special pricing on the 2-pack today at the distributors. You can take that same 2-pack, replace the sunsetting device, and then you go to our next page, which will talk about the sunset form. You'll fill out the form, you send that in, and you will be eligible for this rebate.
So when you stack up those promos like that and you talk about the new RMR that you're going to get from video, it really makes the communicator virtually free. It pays for itself.
It's a great, Kevin, great. You can, with going out and getting your customer to pay for an upgrade, or adding video, or adding a touchpad, or adding home automation, or all the above, just purely updating the system. Think about what the end user sees within their system. They only see the keypad. Very unlikely that they would see a door contact or a window contact. It just kind of goes out of sight for them. But every day they interact with this yellow keypad. And every day they're thinking about your company name with this yellowing keypad. This is the time in which you can upgrade that and make them proud of the application that they're using, and so where they can show their neighbors and everybody around them your branded app, because that's all we do. We brand our applications to our partners, is getting this ability to show your neighbors and friends, look, I've got new doorbell, I've got new video cameras, I've got a new touchpad. It's the same as my application on my phone today. I've got home automation. My lights come on at dusk and dawn. They go off. It's a fantastic setup. It is taking the oldest system out there during this sunset period and making it the newest system. It's a very neat program.
So you mentioned that you can visit alula.net/sunset for more information. This is what you're going to find there. Talk about how you sign up for it and what I need to do to get that rebate.
Yeah, so to get the rebate, you would enroll in a ConnectUp Sunset program. So you would say, I want to be a dealer in this particular program. So we're going to ask you a few questions about your company, kind of, how many units are you looking to replace within the next, 36 months or during this sunset program. And then once you get that form put in, we will accept you into the program. And then from that point on, each unit that you do, you fill out a simple form and you mail this form into us. And within 30 days of that install, we take that and we give you an instant rebate within that next quarter. So it'll come to you as a check to the actual partner to help fund this sunset, program. So it'll help the dealers with the better pricing at the distributor and also with this instant rebate getting back. And there's no quantity limits on this. So even our larger dealers can get this type of a rebate within their particular program.
Wow, that could be a huge cost savings when we talk about the volume out there of radios that need to be replaced.
Yeah,
Thank you, Russell. You are a fount of information when it comes to the sunset. I don't know anybody out there who is more knowledgeable and can describe it better. You've been schooling me on this since I came to the company, and I'm glad that we can share that with our attendees. Since we've got you here, we've got some questions. Can you hang out for a few minutes and answer them?
Absolutely, or one of my colleagues here would be more than happy to answer them.
Great. Just hold on there, Russell. We're going to take a few questions from the audience. Thanks.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We've got a bunch of questions here that we're going to spool through, so stay tuned. So first question comes to us from John. Russell, what is the limit of devices I can get a rebate on? They're talking about that ConnectUp Sunset program.
There is no limit of what you can get on that rebate program. So we've opened it up, and so as many devices as you can give us, we'll be more than happy to get you a rebate on it.
Got it. And Bill's got a question. Do I need to call someone at Alula to complete my rebate, or can I do it all on the Sunset website that we shared?
You can do it on the Sunset website as far as registering as a ConnectUp partner. Once you've done that, then you will be presented a form for each one of your sunsetting devices. So as you go and replace a sunset device out in the field, you'd take the SIM card, you would fill out a form, and you would send that in to our office, and then you would get a rebate sent back to you. So it's a rebate in the form of a check that you would receive once you filled out that information.
Got it. Now, Brad's got a question. If I upgrade with one of the new BAT communicators, will I need to be plugged into Ethernet for it to work?
No, you will not. You can do it primary on cellular. You can do it primary on Wi-Fi. You can do it primary on IP. We always suggest, dual path, of course. It's something that we promote highly. That's the answer to get you kind of out of that crazy loop that we talked about. By far, if you can connect all of it up, that's great. You've got a triple path that you can, consistently receive signals on. The internet side of that's going to be much faster than anything else. That's why we always suggest that first. That customer experience is going to be amazing when you look at the speed of the network and how that operates. But no, if you don't have internet at a location, cellular is fine. It could be just the only path.
Got it. Brant asked a question that this is an important clarification, so I'm glad we're going to get more into this. But Are you saying that your current Cat M1 modems are dual band and are already compatible with LTE and 5G?
No, what we're saying is the Cat M1, which is part of the LTE family, is the IoT band in the 5G arena. So when we talk about 5G, and as these carriers move to that 5G, they're going to keep the IoT bands open, which is part of that LTE family, which will become part of the 5G family of bands within that 5G. So it's not both. It's not LTE and 5G. It's just the LTE band, which is part of the 5G band in that new technology. So there's nothing to change there. It's just part of that ecosystem throughout the 5G area. It's a lower bandwidth product, so it's only at 10 meg. So it's a little bit less speed than the full LTE or 5G.
So the idea here, I guess, is that when the cell companies do decide to sunset LTE, that Cat M1 communications path will then move to 5G, and therefore the Cat M1 path that's being used by the BAT Connect will now be on the 5G, but service will not be interrupted.
Right. It'll be part of that 5G IoT spectrum, which is the carryover from the LTE side of it. They just narrowed the band enough to where it's the IoT side of that, so they're just going to carry it all the way through 5G.
Got it. And I see we've already gotten a couple sign-ups during this webinar to this to the program. So it looks like we've got a few early adopters who've on the line. Thank you to those three of you who have already, the two of you who have already signed up. Let's get back to the questions. So we've got one from Nikki. She says, it seems like some networks are already blacking out. Are you hearing that too? So I think what she's referring to is that some of these neighborhoods, it's happening even before the deadline is supposed to happen. So have you heard about that, and what's going on there?
Yeah, we've noticed a few incidences where that has occurred, and so that's what's so concerning about the sunset. So when we talk about the sunset, ending at a period in 2022, that does not mean it doesn't start earlier than that on some of these areas, because these carriers are forced to try to update their networks as quickly as possible to be able to deliver the 5G to these handsets. So sometimes, we get injured by that, and some of these neighborhoods will just drop out. So it's kind of frightening when you think about it. That's why we suggest doing this early. And one of the greatest suggestions that I've heard so far is just putting a 6-pack of devices on each truck, and as you go out and service your client base, rather than rolling another truck, just do it at the same time. So if you're changing out a battery, for example, at that time have your technician change out the technology. Might as well, you're at the same truck roll. Or even try to upgrade the system by adding, video. That's something that could be making your client even more sticky. So that's the suggestion that we have for our clients and partners. We think that's a best practice.
So even though the cell companies have told us that we've got a few years to get this all taken care of, you're saying that literally tomorrow I could wake up and find some of my customers have already been lost their communicators?
Absolutely. Now, the carriers say that we have the same footprint, and we're not going to change the footprint. The problem is that we might have lost a toe on that foot. So sometimes that edge of it will drop out, and that just creates an issue.
Oh, I don't want to be the toe.
Yeah, don't want to
never want to be the toe on that. Okay, we've got another question about that rebate program. And by the way, this rebate program is a great way to do exactly what Russell just outlined, which is get a bunch of communicators so that your customers don't end up getting that amputated toe. The question comes in, when does the rebate program end? How long is this going to run for?
We're going to run it as long as we can, and I would expect it going all the way through this particular sunset. We have not had any kind of end date set up for it. I know it's going to be very popular. There's a lot of companies out there that are not helping partners to get this changed. We're ones that are certainly there. And to participate, you just go and buy your products from the local distributor, get registered on that website, fill out the form, send it in, and get your rebate. It's a pretty simple program.
And now Tom has a question. This is a kind of an adjacent question. We talk about the fact that you can use this as an opportunity to modernize a home surveillance system, so you can add cameras to those legacy security panels that couldn't support them using BAT-Connect or BAT-LTE. So the question is, what are the camera options for using existing IP cameras in a residence?
Well, we don't have the ability to do existing cameras within the residence, but we do have our camera line that is approved for our particular network. And we do it through our camera base, and we have an indoor camera, we have an exterior camera, we have a doorbell camera. So we pretty much cover all the bases, but there are our camera line. And we do that because we want it to be simple. We want that experience to be exactly perfect. And so you would just scan a camera in with your application, and then it would show up in your app just next to your security. So you have your security in the app, and you also have your camera, and you would also have home automation if you chose to add that as well.
And that's an important point, is that we're really integrating all these different functions into one single app. So you only have to open one app to get that full 360 view of your home. A lot of these pieces and parts places, you're looking at one app for a camera, another app for your home automation, a third app for your security, and you're looking at a lot of app fatigue and a lot of complication for your customers that way. Joe has a question.
Before you move on, I do want to say something about the application. In our ecosystem, when we talk about that neat architecture, the network equipment, applications, and transport, everything is modular within our system. Our panels are modular. This new communicator that we have is modular. You can either add home automation or not. You can add IP cameras or not. The application, as you add these devices, will show up in that application. You don't have to keep downloading multiple applications in which for this to work. It's all modular, and it will show up as you add these devices or add these systems.
That's great. Good clarification there. We've got a question from Ron. He is asking, how do I get the BAT-Connect? I can tell you guys that just yesterday I was filming the first pallet of these shipping out from UPS. So I know that they're on their way to distributors now, or at distributors now. Russell, you have anything to add in terms of how they should get their hands on this?
Yeah, the distributors are going to be your best bet. They're going to be an ADI, Annixter, and others, SDS. There's a lot of distributors that carry the Alula products. If they carry the Alula products today, they will carry this BAT-Connect as well. So you should see these showing up. If not now, it would be within probably a few days. We're shipping them everywhere. So it's going to be a very popular device, because we do believe it's a game changer.
And those BAT-Connects are eligible for that Sunset ConnectUp rebate program that we talked about. And if you have any trouble finding where you can get it, just give us a call, 1-888-88-ALULA. We will connect you with your local distributor. Next question. Will the Cat M1 support two-way voice between central station and client? That comes to us from Joe.
So the M1 itself is limited to the bandwidth in which it can transmit. And so right now we don't have any plans of doing two-way voice over that Cat 1, but we do or will have two-way voice over the IP side of it. So if you have to have two-way voice over cellular, then the best bet would be the BAT-LTE product or the BAT Wi-Fi, or just use the BAT Connect and have it connected on the internet side of it, because then you would get the full bandwidth for audio. Right now the M1 is just too limited on the transmission side to be able to handle the two-way voice. We're looking at, possibly adding that in the future, but we are concerned that with the bandwidth that you would not get full, perfect audio if you try to do it over the M1 band.
Okay, Oscar's got a question about compatibility, and I believe he's probably referring to the BAT Connect on this. Will a DSC Power Series system with multiple keypads work in tandem with my smartphone app?
Absolutely. So in the smartphone application that we have, whatever you see on your keypad, you'll be able to see on that application. You will have the interface that'll be pretty common between all the different Connect type products with Alula. So what you have on the wall stays there, or you can remove it and put in a upgraded touchpad after installing a BAT Connect and do the same. So it's an interesting product. It's an adjunct. It's an adder to that. So you can use keypads on premise. You can use your application, or you don't even have to have keypads if you want, if you just want to use an iPhone or a tablet or our touchpad. So you've got multiple choices. We kind of expand the choices that you have within the products that you buy today. So it's more of an addition and more of a different type of experience once you connect it to this system.
Great. Mona's got a couple questions. We've touched on some of them, but she's got a really important one here. Which devices are acceptable for the rebate? Does it apply only to Alula devices, such as the BAT and CAT CDMA, or does it include any 3G device, including Telguard?
It includes every. So if you have other people's products that you've installed in the past and you want to experience Alula, this is a great way in which to do it. You can replace those older 3G or CDMA type technologies, or 3.5G as we refer sometimes as 4G. You can replace all those units, and this rebate will be applicable to that as well. And we think that once you upgrade, you'll probably stay with us. It's one of those experiences where you go, wow, this is really neat. I'm going to stick with this. This is awesome. It's a very solid product. We've been doing this a very long time. We've kind of created a category for communicators, especially with the multipath. It's something that we're very proud of here at Alula.
Great. We've got another question from Branch. What panels or models is Connect compatible for with interactive services? Any remote upload, download, and which panels? Russell, I'm not sure if you're the best person to answer this. I know we went into this on our recent webinar about BAT Connect that we'll be rebroadcasting later. But Russell, do you have anything to answer about that one?
Yeah, there's a ton of compatibility that we have with different manufacturers. You really need to download the compatibility chart. You should be able to find that on our website. If you can't, just call that 1-888-88-ALULA, and someone will be able to help you with that, because there's different model numbers, there's different versions of even the firmware between these control panels for us to be able to explain, which is absolutely compatible and not. We can spend another 2 hours talking about the individual compatibilities of some of these devices.
And Russ, are you talking about the Z-Wave compatibility chart that we have on our website?
No, I'm talking specifically about the control panel compatibilities. For example, which Honeywell series of Vista, which Power series of system that we're compatible with, and which ones have download capability, which ones don't. So there's a huge compatibility. And for the systems that we can't get bus compatibility on, this is where you connect the bus to our particular products. If you don't have the bus capability, we can certainly connect it up just to tip and ring. That's the telephone side of it, and you can still send alarm transmissions even with some of the oldest systems that are out there.
Got it. Thanks for that. Zeta Pitchford asks, good morning all. I am Zeta with On Duty System. I just chimed in. When does the rebate program start?
Great question, Zeta. So that starts today. So it's open today. You can go to the website, alula.net/rebate, and you'll see the form, and you can start that program right now.
That's right. We're launching this program in conjunction with this webinar. So you guys are the first that are hearing about it. You are the first who will have access to it. Please spread the word. Just go to alula.net/sunset. You'll find all the information you need there about this program, including the forms to fill out in order to get that rebate. And we've got a question from Nicholas. On the BAT Connect, if Wi-Fi is used and the customer changes the router password, can we remotely reprogram at our office, or will we need to roll a truck?
You will be able to remotely program that unit through the cell side if you have the cell active to be able to get the Wi-Fi. Now, there's some Wi-Fi routers that require a reboot on that. That would be the only thing that would be a caveat to that. But you'll have the capability of remotely adding the SSID and everything they would need as far as credentials. It would just be dependent on is that the type of router that will allow that or not. So there are a few that will or will not. So that would be the only caveat.
And we're launching Alula Connect, our new partner portal, this week as well. A very busy week here at Alula. And so that gives our partners a lot of additional functionality in terms of remote upgrading and being able to do those things without rolling a truck. Is that right, Russell?
That is correct. And one thing to note about Alula, because we're so IP-centric within our system, a lot of times we're upgrading field devices, monthly. And so we're adding different functionality and different features to our systems at different times. So as we roll out these different features, as our partners, we'll send you notifications and say, hey, by the way, you can now, add, Alexa support within your system, or now you can add these different types of touchpads within the system, or now you can add these different types of cameras. So all of this is firmware upgradable, and we do that on a consistent basis.
And our partners actually don't have to do anything in order to receive those benefits. My understanding is that the communicators ping once a day to figure out if there's a new firmware, and if so, it automatically updates.
That is correct, and that's free of charge.
Wow.
You can always opt out of that if you don't want to get the updates, but we always recommend that you get the latest and greatest update, just as you would do for your software for your computer or iPhone or Android device. You always want to keep up to date.
Great. You mentioned our IP first focus. Here's a question to clarify that from Trip. Do all of your communicators plug into Ethernet?
We only built one communicator that did not go into Ethernet, but the rest of them do. So we're a very IP-centric company. Again, you don't have to have the internet side of it, but we highly recommend it. We think that that's a better way to stay out of that crazy loop. Kind of changes that conversation within with your customer as each time these upgrades happen and these sunsets happen.
And Russell, I'm getting some notifications that even more people are hitting up that website and signing up for the ConnectUp program. Thank you all for giving it a shot. And for those of you who haven't yet, all you got to do is go to alula.net/sunset, and you'll find all the details you need to join the program. Another question coming in. Do the cameras connect to internet or cellular?
Cameras are internet, so they're IP cameras, and we recommend that. It's a much better way of transmitting data. It's native IP, an IP camera. We don't want to take the IP, change it to an analog or cellular, and then back into IP. We want to make it IP all the way. So it's really the best way to send data to the web and to our cloud. It's a native form, and it just happens very quickly.
And I know IP is very close to your heart there, Russell. One of my favorite phrases from you is, the internet will never sunset.
That's right. So, yeah, we always think we were internet before internet was cool. One of the previous companies, which was part of the born into Alula, was an ISP. So Alula was born out of an internet service provider company. And so when we talk about IP being native, we really mean it. So even back in the early days of the internet, we were putting out big iron routers and making that happen, even when it was very difficult to be an internet service provider. So we're deep in those roots for this networking side.
Great. We got a few more questions still coming in. Will Cat M1 support central station with video verification? This is from Joe.
Yeah, so we will have video verification. Today you get video directly to the application if you have IP cameras set up on the system. Later you will see that get transmitted to the central station. If it's a participating central station, we're working through some of the folks now to make that happen. I would expect that probably in the last quarter of this year or first quarter of next year.
Got it. Abdullah, welcome back, Abdullah. He has been in previous webinars, always has good questions. Thank you for participating, Abdullah. He asks, what's the difference between the old Helix hub and the Connect Plus hub?
The biggest difference is when we talk about Helix as a company, that's our OEM side. So Helix would work on other people's network. When we talk about Connect Plus, that's on our network, so we control that ecosystem a little bit tighter. So again, it's part of that need architecture between the network, equipment, applications, and transport. So when we think of Connect Plus, that's more of a native in our ecosystem, whereas Helix is an OEM type of equipment.
Got it. And, Joe has a question about pricing structure. This would probably be a good time to get into it. Russell, can you talk a little bit about that $50 rebate and what that pricing structure looks like for that, how to get that?
So yes, for the rebate, the more you add to the subscription, the more rebate you will receive. If it's just a single radio that you're replacing, you would receive the minimum rebate, which is $25. If you added a camera to that, then you're adding another $15. And then if you chose to add home automation, then it would be another $10. And that's how you get the full $50 rebate. So it's based on the depth of subscription that you have per account.
And it's an interesting incentive because not only are you getting the rebate for adding video, but you're also adding RMR.
Yeah, that is correct. So it's the best way in which to upgrade a system. You know, anytime that you can go out and freshen a system up and give a customer a new experience within their application, it's a big deal. And so the customer sees you every day when they arm or disarm that system with their application. Same thing when they put a touchpad on the wall. They see that every single day. So I'm suggesting to everybody, take out all those old yellowing keypads and get that new, fresh touchpad on the wall.
Speaking of taking out old equipment, Zeta is back with an additional question about that Sunset ConnectUp rebate. She asks, I believe it's a she, could be a he, sorry. What do we do with the old units?
So for the old units, you would just, if it's a CDMA, it doesn't have a SIM card. So on a CDMA unit, you would just give us the MAC ID for it. And if you're a Alula customer today, which I know On Duty is a Alula customer today, they would be able to just take the MAC ID and just send that in with the form, and then they would receive the rebate.
Got it. We're coming up on these last questions, so if you have any, get them in now. Running a little short on time. I want to be respectful of your busy work days. Joe has a question. Can video be backed up locally should IP go down?
Yeah, great question. So in our particular cameras that we offer for the Alula Cloud, you're getting local storage on it. Every camera comes with an SD card. So even if you've lost that connection, you still have local storage within each camera.
Great. I think that's going to have to bring an end to the webinar. If we didn't get to your question, please give us a call, 1-888-88-ALULA. Our customer success team would be happy to work with you on whatever issue you may be experiencing and any problem that you have that we can solve. Of course, the Sunset ConnectUp program is available at alula.net/sunset. Please go to that website, and if you have any questions about that, we'd be happy to answer them as well. Thank you all for joining us. Please take advantage of these rebates and do not wait to the last minute. Don't leave your customers in the dark. Now is the time to get out there and not only get these communicators replaced, but upgrade the video. So thank you all, and good luck out there. Thanks, Russell.
You're welcome.
And that does conclude today's conference. We thank you for your participation. You may now disconnect.